Pam Bondi.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming.
That's right.
That's what we
Who
should be
cares if we
talking
kidnap
about.
their children? What does it matter? Who cares if we kidnap their... The Dow is up. The Dow's up. Who cares if we snatched your kids and took them to an island to abuse them? The Dow is up. So what? So what? We're part of an ancient blood cult. The Dow is up. So what? We perform sacrifices to deities so that we can have their power. The Dow is up. You know what the NASDAQ's doing? The blue chips, the S&P 500. Why don't you shut your mouth about the kids that we abducted and sacrificed so we can please Lucifer or Baal? So what? The Dow is up. So what? We worship Baal. Maybe you should thank Baal for the Dow being at 50,000. You're a pretty good stock trader, Raskin. From what I hear, maybe instead of angering Baal, you thank Baal. Thank Baal for what he's done for American 401ks. Baal. Baal has done more for the S&P 500 than Joe Biden did. Joe Biden didn't do anything for the S&P 500. We had to go to Moloch and Baal. That's Pam Bondi telling everyone to thank Baal, the demon Baal, for the S&P 500, and don't worry about the child sacrifices. But by the way, that's kind of what she's saying. It's actually what she's saying. Now, she's not articulating it as intelligently as I am. She, frankly, doesn't have the ability. What she's saying is that Moloch and Baal are protecting the American economy, and that if we have to sacrifice a few people, it's not the end of the world. And if you keep making it a big deal, if you keep prattling on about these disappeared women and children, you're going to anger the gods of the stock market. That's what Pam Bondi is saying. The gods that we worship are of the stock market. A lot of pedophiles in the world, very few of them have what I have behind me, which is a temple. On the side of the island, a temple. Let's watch the rest, please. Let's see the rest of this Pam Bondi clip, where this, again, is the Attorney General Pam Bondi, friend of the show, reminding Congress that it is not Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump, or the chairman of the Fed. It is Baal. It is the entity Baal and Moloch who protect the American economy. Here she is.
We should be talking about making Americans safe.
That's right.
We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? What does Moloch have to do with the Dow? Are you nuts? You're asking what Moloch, the god of child sacrifice, has to do with the Dow? The Dow is fake. You know it's fake. Finance is fake. It's what we say it is. It's only to please Baal. I mean, what does the Dow have to do with Baal? Everything. Now, there's some uncomfortable stuff happening right now as well on the foreign policy side, because the Epstein files are exposing. A lot of people don't want fully unredacted files because they say that it will expose national security secrets. And if we have the rest of the files, and then if we unredact some of these files, we will have national security issues, meaning that Jeffrey Epstein, who was not running a trafficking ring, of course, that was told to us, but yet is somehow mixed up in national security to the extent that these unredacted files would cause like a tidal wave of problems for intelligence agencies and governments. But again, the guy that like wasn't doing anything somehow was doing something. So a lot of people are basically saying that we don't want any of this to come out because it could be damaging to maybe existing relationships that the United States of America has. I don't know. Particularly with Russia, which is our greatest ally and has been for a very long time. Russia is very close with the United States of America. Most of our congressmen go on trips to Russia. Russia's RAPAC is massively influential in American politics. RAPAC, the Russian-American funding, RAPAC. We're all criticizing RAPAC all the time. And Putin's been here 7 times, visited the Oval Office since Trump was elected. We have tons of laws in America right now being proposed to limit anti-Russian speech. So I get it. The mayor of Miami's a Russian and, had the police show up at a woman's house who said something about Russia. It's weird. We have a weird relationship with Russia. Russia spends a lot of money. Olga Ivanova, who's who owns the Dallas Mavericks, very powerful, lives in Russia part-time and America part-time. Trump actually joked she might like Russia better than America. It was a bet. She is actually spending tons and tons of money in a Kentucky House race so that Thomas Massie can't get elected. And what is Thomas Massie doing that's so disturbing to Olga, the Russian oligarch? It's that he wants the Epstein files released. So you have to imagine it's damaging to Russia because a Russian oligarch is dumping tons of money into a Kentucky Senate race so that Thomas Massie can't win because he's running partially on the platform of transparency for Epstein victims and consequences for the perpetrators of these horrible crimes. So I think that is obvious to most people that something is going on. So maybe that's one of the reasons that people don't want these files unredacted, is because it will damage our very close, uniquely close, historically close relationship with Russia. We fund Russia. We give Russia money to fight a lot of wars. Russia has, potentially influenced our foreign policy to prioritize wars that maybe weren't great for America. So we got a big problem that's Russia. Obviously. It's obviously Russia. Tons of things, it is what it is. Good luck trying to get elected in this country criticizing Russia. You criticize Russia, they descend on you big time. Every year I see 1 or 2 people, maybe more, in my business have to clarify that they're actually not being anti-Russian. It's a thing. People have to do it. They come out and they go, my support for Georgia does not mean I am anti-Russian. And I just want to let people know that I've never been anti-Russian. I have Russian friends. So there's a huge Russia connection in these documents. The ex-prime minister of Russia used to stay at Epstein's house. Epstein's personal lawyer, Alan Moscow Face, is a very big proponent of Russia and Russian interests. There he is. So it's obvious. Even the president's daughter, which is kind of a rare thing, converted to being Russian. Kind of a rare thing because her husband, Jared St. Petersburgiewicz, was Russian. And the daughter, did you know this, converted to being Russian? So it's interesting. So Trump has a lot of respect for Russia and Russians. So that's what is being said. But by the way, what I just said is being said on CNN with a straight face, and MSNBC, and they're with a straight face. They're saying that this is he's a Russian asset, that Jeffrey Epstein worked for Russia, and that if you think anything else, can we get Alan Dershowitz up here talking about the Epstein-Israel connection, which I think is hilarious. My favorite thing ever, Alan Dershowitz said, he goes, he didn't work for the Mossad. If he did, I would have gotten him like a better deal or a better. And again, none of this has anything to do with Jewish people or with Israel as a place. It has to do with powerful governments, the deep state of Israel working with America, and billionaires who are completely transforming a narrative in front of your face to completely fuck with your sense of reality, of what you know to be true. You know that Jeffrey Epstein is not a Russian asset, and it's hilarious. You know that Russia has very little power in America, and if Jeffrey Epstein worked for Russia, everybody in this country would know about it immediately, and you would have known about it years ago, because we'd be using it as a pretext to go to war with them. We'd be using it immediately. I mean, so it's just amazing. But again, it's one of those things where you have to just, even Kyle Rittenhouse is calling for Pam Bondi's resignation. It's got to be tough, huh? Even Kyle Rittenhouse is weighing in here, and Kyle Rittenhouse has had enough. When you've lost Kyle Rittenhouse, you know things aren't well. So we obviously have a national security issue that does not have to do with Russia. It has to do with Israel, if you're not an idiot. And that's one of the reasons that this is an uncomfortable discussion for a lot of people in Washington. And there's a lot of anti-Semitism where people will literally say, this is a cabal of all Jewish people that have ever existed or whatever. And it's easy to find that. You can find that easily. But if you're an intellectually honest person, you have to look at this and go, oh, he's clearly working with Israel to some degree. He has deeply entrenched interests and relationships with that country. Why would Miriam Adelson be funding all this money for Thomas Massey's race? It doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense that a billionaire who splits her time between Israel and wherever, Dallas, I don't know where the hell she lives, but would care about Thomas Massey. It makes absolutely no sense that she'd give a shit about a congressman where, in Ohio, Kentucky? I think he's Kentucky. But why would she give a fuck? Why would she be dumping tens of millions of dollars into this race? Why? His main issue is the transparency of these files. He wants them out. So if you're trying to stop these files from coming out, we gotta look at why. Why would you care? And I think it's fair to say that Miriam Adelson doesn't want them out because it's embarrassing for Israel. It's like obvious to most people. You'd have to pay me so much money to not say that, because it would go against every logical fiber of my being. I'd have to come out and go, well, Miriam has always believed that, you know, there's lots of issues that she cares about, and Thomas is... No, it's 100% true. Now, the free press can do whatever they want. They can bring on anyone in the world to say that this wasn't a trafficking operation and it had nothing to do with it. Because, by the way, they tried. They're like, well, actually, nothing was happening. And you're like, okay, actually, he wasn't involved with intelligence. You're like, all right. Then the files came out, and they're like, well, it's actually Russian intelligence. You're like, well, you just said it was nothing. Well, no, it's Russia. It's actually Russian intelligence. He hated Israel. He emailed one time he hated Israel. You know what I mean? It's like, I've emailed I hate ice cream. It's not the truth. You know what I mean? Like, what's the pattern of behavior here? So we have a little bit of an issue geopolitically with this, which is why it's been such a sticky situation. And everybody who's honest will tell you that. I know smart people, I know connected people, and they all tell you that. It's not even a secret behind the scenes at all. There's actually nobody of any intelligence behind the scenes that suggests any other rationale for this. They're not like, Well, it could have been a lot of different things, like, nah, working for Israel, and he got a little nutty. He got a little nutty. Now, I'm not saying they were like approving everything he did, obviously, but there was clearly some knowledge about what the man did. No one's friends with Jeffrey Epstein and has no idea what he's doing. Jeffrey Epstein also ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid, and we wanted to, and the day the FBI opened an investigation into him. What can you do with sulfuric acid? You can do a lot of things. Can you get up uses for sulfuric acid? No, I mean literally, because we should give him the benefit of the doubt. Some people think he might have been ordering it to dissolve the bodies of people that he had killed. Fertilizer production. The largest use is producing phosphoric acid, which is used to make ammonium sulfate and phosphate fertilizers. So maybe he was making his own fertilizer for the island instead of buying fertilizer. Metal processing, pickling, used in the iron and steel industry to remove oxidation, rust, and scale from steel sheets and billets before coating. Maybe. Lead acid batteries, chemical manufacturing, petroleum refining, industrial cleaning and maintenance. Laboratory and industrial applications. Due to its high acidity and corrosiveness, it is a highly regulated substance requiring careful handling. Now, some people believe that they opened this investigation into him and he goes, listen, I copped a sweetheart deal. Now, when did he get this? When they opened up the first one, or what? When was this? Do we know exactly when he ordered this? 2018? Now, this is after he made that sweetheart deal the first time. So he's saying to himself, I might be able to survive the sex trafficking angle of this. The intelligence communities will say it's not sex trafficking, and I'll be able to say I groped a 17-year-old again. I'm sorry, and we'll do another sweetheart deal. But then Ghislaine was probably like, but darling, we've killed all these people. And he's like, right, we did kill a lot. We killed a lot. So then he's going, well, we got to get rid of all these people we killed. We got to get rid of them. We got to burn. We got to dissolve them in acid, because I might be able. And I bet this is what went through his mind. I think I'm right. He goes, I'll make another sweetheart deal. They'll just write me off as a creep. The intelligence side of this is going to protect the trafficking stuff. You got to remember, the first time he's accused, there's like 200 victims, and he cops to touching one of them inappropriately during a massage. He's going, well, I'll just do that again. Here's the problem. He killed all these people. Darling, we killed all these people, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you must deal with it, darling. Darling, we've killed them all, Jeffrey. We've got to kill them all. You've got to dissolve them now, darling. Burn them up. Dissolve them with acid, darling. So Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein spent decades trafficking young women, children, and everyone in between, and probably young men and boys, and what God only knows. Allegedly. But they did all of this, and they were supposed to believe that but nobody died, nobody got killed. Jeffrey Epstein's ex, by the way, get her up, Karina, she said, he's not part of the Luciferian cult, but they do sacrifice babies. That's what she said on X. That's what his ex-girlfriend said. She said that. She goes, he's not even involved with that. You gotta love, by the way, nothing's better than like a woman who has a guy's back. He's not even involved with the Luciferian sacrifice to children. He got involved for money. This woman, Karina, who's Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend, literally is on X saying, yeah, he got involved with these people. They're in a cult. They sacrifice kids. But he was just trying to make money. He's not even involved with that. So this woman's coming out to defend this guy who I don't even know. Is he dead? I don't believe it. I won't believe it. I literally will not believe it. The allegations in the conversation about Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, would be significant if verified, according to other U.S. officials familiar with its content. But those officials agreed there was no corroborating evidence to support the allegations. We don't even know what the allegations are. I imagine they're not going to say that this guy's working with the Israelis or whatever, because that's like obvious. You don't even need a secret phone call for that, by the way. I don't know what kind of secret phone call you would need to establish that. He's kind of doing it openly. This will go back to Russia again. Watch. They're going to be like, well, he's with Russia. It would be interesting. Kushner is at the center of some of the administration's toughest national security initiatives. He devised the plan to rebuild Gaza and has joined Trump envoy Steve Witkoff in negotiations to end the war in Ukraine and dismantle Iran's nuclear network. So there's apparently allegations against Kushner, and it was based on a foreign intelligence conversation collected by the NSA. I'm betting money they're going to say it's Russia. They're going to say that Russians are talking about Kushner and that he somehow is not to be trusted and that he's back-channeling outside of the official negotiations or something. I don't think it's going to be Israel. We don't know. But apparently the NSA, and then Tulsi Gabbard's involved in this. How? She's got really nothing to do with Israel. I imagine they're going to say it's something to do with Russia because Tulsi's involved in this too. This is my guess. Keep going here. Like in Trump's first term, which he orchestrated peace talks between Israel and Arab nations, Kushner touts his business background as an asset. What are all these business backgrounds, by the way? All these business backgrounds are seeming kind of fake, aren't they? All these people that just lose money and go bankrupt and then get more money. What are all these business backgrounds all these people have? They all get bailed out by somebody somewhere, and we're all supposed to believe that this is all happenstance or the result of someone's business acumen. It's a genius, and all these people just have money and go bankrupt and lose all their money and somehow reconstitute their wealth. They're able to get all the money back all the time, and they never have they have financial problems, but they're never apparent to anyone because they're all still doing quite well. So it's not odd to people. So it's strange. Again, the Kushners for many years had this building in New York, 666, I believe was the address, either 5th or Park Avenue. And it was like a building that they had to sell. It was like, go and get this up, get 6 Kushners building up in New York City. And they had all these financial problems with this building, and I think they finally sold it. They had all these issues, and Kushner's father blackmailed his brother, or Kushner's uncle blackmailed his father, hired a hooker, filmed them. I mean, they're nice, fun people. They're just fun family people. Yeah, Kushner Companies purchased 666 Fifth Avenue for $1.8 billion in 2007, a highly leveraged deal, and it struggled with debt and vacancy. After failed redevelopment plans, they sold a 99-year lease to Brookfield Asset Management in 2018. So here's the deal. They purchased this in 2007, Kushner's family firm. It was the most expensive office building purchase in Manhattan history. Failed redevelopment. Kushner Companies planned a massive overhaul of the 39-story tower into a 1,400-foot mixed-use skyscraper with Zaha Hadid Architects. Famous architects. She's done a lot of great buildings. One at 10,000 Museum in Miami, or whatever it's called, 1,000 Museum. The 2018 deal. Brookfield Asset Management acquired the 99-year ground lease in 2018, which allowed the Kushner Companies to exit the struggling investment. The Kushners needed a bailout for Jared. There you go. Go to the right. Go to this article here to the right. The Kushners needed a bailout for Jared's bad bet in New York, but still have a full portfolio in New Jersey. So now that's an article from 2018, I believe. If you go up, let me see when it was written, August 12th, 2018. And they're talking about this openly, that they made a bad bet. They needed a bailout. And I'm not saying people don't get bailed out. I'm not saying these things don't happen. Obviously, Jared Kushner's ill-advised bet on New York City real estate has finally played out with an exit strategy that will allow his family's real estate company to emerge from more than $1 billion of debt on a 41-story Manhattan office tower. Here's what I'm throwing out there. I think it's kind of interesting. And again, I don't want to be too conspiratorial. This is not a great week for the people that say conspiracies are fake and everyone who believes in them are dumb, huh? That's not a great week. It's not a great week. Is it possible that some of these bad real estate bets, stock bets, whatever, are rescued, but then the people that are getting rescued are then, to a degree, controlled by the people that have arranged the rescue? It's something to think about, at the very least. It's something to think about. If you can exit a deal and wash $1 billion in bad debt, are you potentially in the debt of the people who arranged that deal, or who helped that deal happen, or who allowed you to escape? Is this I don't know. Is this a crazy thing to suggest? I don't know. I don't know. Now, get up Jared Kushner's father and his brother. We've talked about this on the show before, and the hooker and the blackmail. This seems to be kind of a thing. I believe Kushner's father in 2004 to 2005, Charles Kushner, a wealthy real estate developer, Democratic donor, and father of Jared Kushner, pleaded guilty to 16 counts of tax evasion, witness retaliation, making false statements to the Federal Election Commission. The case, prosecuted by Chris Christie, included a widely reported sordid revenge plot against his own sister and brother-in-law. Charles Kushner was furious that his brother-in-law, William, was cooperating with federal investigators in a tax evasion case against him. Kushner hired a prostitute for $25,000 to seduce his brother-in-law at a New Jersey motel. Kushner had the sexual encounter secretly filmed and sent the videotape to his sister, Esther, to intimidate them. Instead of being intimidated, the Shoulders turned the tape over to federal prosecutors, leading to the case against Charles Kushner. So this is what the Kushner family is like about. This is like how they operate. So I'm just wondering what these allegations are against Jared Kushner, what they are, what they mean. And Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump, who's Donald Trump's daughter. So this is interesting. Again, imagine explaining this to somebody from another planet who had just landed. So the guy in charge of the Middle East peace plan and rebuilding Gaza and ending the Ukraine war with Russia, the Russia-Ukraine war, married the president's daughter. In 2018, got bailed out of a $1 billion bad real estate deal in New York. This guy's father blackmailed his sister and his brother-in-law because of dealings and tax evasion dealings and shady business dealings that went wrong. He tried to intimidate his brother-in-law and his sister, and instead of being intimidated, they turned the tape over to federal prosecutors, and Charles Kushner served 14 months in a federal prison camp in Alabama and 10 months in a halfway house in New Jersey. His son is negotiating. So Kushner is like one of the most influential people in the world, Jared Kushner. And we don't know much about him other than that his dad tried to blackmail his sister. They made a very bad $1 billion bet. Netanyahu used to hang out with the family when he visited New York and stay in Kushner's room. It's all known. And now supposedly there's some weird intelligence complaint about Tulsi Gabbard or whatever. I don't know. I'm wondering about all these business deals that everybody has. And I'm curious as to like how this all works. You just heard that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking women and children. You're in Aspen, Colorado. Fresh coat of powder on the hills, on the mountains, fresh coat of powder on the mountains. You're sipping coffee at the lodge. You hear 9 a.m., Jeffrey Epstein trafficking women and children. Somebody tells you, you know that guy Jeffrey we met? He's trafficking women and children. Your response. Huh. That's what it was. That's what it is. What do you think they're going to do? Well, let's call the FBI right now. Let's interrupt our vacation and launch a crusade to destroy this billionaire and ourselves in the process, because we're heroes. Heroes in Aspen. We've got it. We're heroes. Most of these people, their money's like fake. They know it's fake. They know it's fake. They know it's fake. They don't even know how they're that rich, half these people. God forbid this thing starts to boomerang on them. They're all going, God forbid, they start looking at how we have our money. How the fuck do we have our money? So this idea that there's just a bunch of heroes in this country, in Palm Beach or in the Hamptons. They're in the Hamptons, they're eating a lobster roll, and they're sitting there, and the bugs are flying around, and it's humid, and they're eating a lobster roll in the Hamptons in the summer, and somebody comes up to them and goes, that guy Jeffrey, you know, I hear he does weird shit with women and children. And they imagine that at that point, these people spring up out of their seats in their pink polos and their white linens, you know, their white linen shirts or whatever. And they spring up and they go, this can't stand. Let's all bond together to make sure that no woman or child is abused. We are the heroes in the Hamptons. They're Hamptons heroes. And then they get in their Broncos, their old Bronco trucks that they drive around, and their BMW X5s. And they all get in their cars and they go, we're going and we're not gonna stop. No, there's not, and I've only had money for about 5 years, and I've met some of these people, I've been in some of these environments. Number one, normal people probably wouldn't do anything either. But the idea, some of them would. Some people obviously have done it and provably have risked a lot of their professional life to bring things like this to light. There's been journalists that have done it. I've had them on the show. There are people that have done it in real life. But like this idea that the most privileged people, the wealthiest people, the people who they themselves don't want you looking into whatever the hell they got going on, the people that are from like multi-generational families, wealthy families that want to be out of the public eye, that are very private by their nature. The idea that they're going to like spring into action if they hear that someone's trafficking women and children, the idea that they're going to like, while they're in St. Lucia, walking on the beach, they're going to spring into action. And they're going to go, I'm going to make it my life's mission to uncover the truth. Here's what you'll never hear. Here's what you'll never hear if you're at one of those dinners. We got to get to the truth. We got to get to the truth of this, bunny. Lover, we're getting to the truth. We're not going to keep living this life where we bounce around the globe. We're not living this very, very lovely kind of coddled life of boats and planes and beaches and ski slopes. We're done with that. We're getting to the truth now. Your marriage would collapse immediately. Your marriage would immediately collapse if you said to your wife or your wife said to you, I'm sick of this shit. The Hamptons, the south of France, the Amalfi Coast, what's it all for? What's it all for? The kids in the best universities, money and houses everywhere, boats and private jets. What the fuck's it for if we can't protect women and children? That's what I want to. You would get divorced. And you would get divorced. And the attorney would totally get it. You go, hi, hey, Bob. Hey, Bob. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob, it's me. Listen. We got to talk. Suzette has lost it. Bob, the other night, she launches into some tirade. She goes, I don't want to go to the south of France anymore. I want to save women and children. What is this disease? Is it a tumor? Do you think it's a tumor? I told her, we were on our way. We're on a drive up to Montecito. She said, I want to dedicate the rest of our lives to helping women and children. And I said, I think you have a brain tumor. Should we get her an MRI? They would think you had a brain tumor.